On the 615th day of the war in Ukraine, the fighting was concentrated in these areas. In Kupyansk front, battles intensified near Synkivka, Persotravneve and Ivanivka. Very fierce fighting is underway southwest of Persotravneve, where Russian forces continue their attempts to advance and break through the Ukrainian lines. Today, the Ukrainian sources published footage where their drones were closely following a large armored convoy of the Russian forces which was moving southwest of Persotravneve. As soon as the Russian unit entered the grey area, the Ukrainian artillery immediately responded by opening fire, and within the first few seconds they damaged one of the tanks. The rest of the Russian armored convoy continued pushing south, aiming to suppress the Ukrainian defenses and make way for the armored vehicles to land their infantry forces close to the Ukrainian positions. However, upon reaching the line of contact, the Russian unit ran into a minefield and several tanks and armored vehicles were damaged, with the artillery of the 14th Mechanized Brigade managing to destroy at least 2 tanks and 2 BMP infantry fighting vehicles. According to Ukrainian sources, 3 more tanks and 4 armored vehicles were damaged during the clashes. The Russian attack resulted in a huge disaster after suffering heavy losses and with the Ukrainian forces maintaining control over their positions. Further south, heavy battles were reported taking place east of Avdiivka and west of the Ivanivka-Kislivka line. Yesterday, Ukrainian forces counterattacked near Avdiivka using at least 2 Leopard 2A5 tanks. The Russian forces managed to ambush the Ukrainian tanks and hit one of them using an anti-tank missile. The crew of the Ukrainian tank managed to survive and was evacuated. Near Ivanivka, the situation is now more stable for the Ukrainian defenders. After the deployment of the reinforcements, including the elite unit Kraken, it seems that the Ukrainian forces were able to push back the Russian forces from the nearby tree-line positions which the Russians managed to occupy over a week ago. Russian sources published footage of their artillery shelling the Ukrainian forces near the tree lines a few hundred meters to the east of the village of Ivanivka, confirming that the Russian forces were ousted from this position. To help prepare the ground for another offensive towards Ivanivka, Russians deployed the powerful TOS-1A MLRS near the village of Novotarasivka, but the Ukrainian 103rd Territorial Defense Brigade found the Russian artillery system in action and destroyed it using an FPV drone. On the northern part of the front line, Ukrainian forces managed to make some advances northeast of the village of Synkivka, and during the last 48 hours they pushed the Russian forces out of some tree-line positions about 1 kilometer away from the village. Despite trying for months to take this key settlement, the initial Russian attempts were stopped, and it is reported that now the Russians have lost control over the entire ground that they managed to gain in this part of the front line. In Donetsk front, heavy battles continue along the railway north of Avdiivka. It looks like the Ukrainian forces have started to actively counterattack the Russian forces on the northern flank in the areas between Stepove and the chemical plant, resulting in a stagnation of the Russian offensive in this direction. The 47th Mechanized Brigade is participating in the defense of the northern flank of the Ukrainian army, moving close to the railway line and attacking the Russian positions near the Terikon. During the intense battles that took place in this area, a Leopard 2 tank and a Bradley infantry fighting vehicle of the 47th Brigade were damaged. However, the activity of the Ukrainian forces this close to the railway suggests that the area remains a grey zone and likely the Russian forces were not able to entrench in this direction. In the last 24 hours, Ukrainian forces damaged and destroyed 5 Russian BMP infantry fighting vehicles, 1 MTLB armored fighting vehicle, as well as 1 TOS-1A artillery system about 5 kilometers east of Krasnohorivka. Ukrainian forces continue to strike at the Russian rear, disrupting and causing damage to the Russian supply lines. Tonight, the Ukrainian forces conducted a series of artillery strikes over the city of Donetsk, destroying several fuel tanks of the Russian army. Friends, if you like my daily updates, I kindly ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as this will greatly help the channel to reach a wider audience. That's all for today's update. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and have a great day.